What it do? What it do? I don't know who I got. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes to see if I get somebody to trickle in before we start this spoiler discussion of Euphoria season 2, episode 1, the long awaited beginning of season 2. We'll see who we get in here because this is rather impromptu. But I just couldn't wait till Sunday. I could not wait till Sunday to talk about this. I was ready to get this shit off my chest today. So I'm gonna see if I got anybody to join me. And if I do, then we can talk about this. Now, how is this still here? I don't want both of those here. No, don't show display name. There we go. In the meantime, I'm eating some French fries that my son just brought to me that I don't need, but I'm gonna eat them anyway. And wish he'd have bought me nuggets instead of French fries. Shoot. Well, this one came out January 9th, and what I found out, being a newbie to watching the episodes as they air weekly, is that we're gonna have to wait till my time is 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. Central is the time that HBO Max is dropping the episodes. And let me tell you, they dropped them doggone episodes. They dropped the episode on Sunday and broke the whole server because everybody was trying to log in and watch it at the same time. So I'm looking at, oh my goodness, just got a huge fan base. It's I knew that it was popular. I guess I just didn't know how popular. Everybody said at the same time, we about to watch this show. We are not about to let 1 minute pass before the time that they make it available to their audience. And I gotta say that it wasn't. It didn't disappoint. It wasn't a disappointment. We're gonna watch. I mean, we saw a lot of the things that we expected to see. A lot of stuff that was just new to the game, specifically when I holler about Fez grandma. What's up, bud? I think it's just me and you right now. Ain't nobody else in here. But yeah, so Fez grandmother kind of that shit with her. I don't say it shocked me, but I guess a little part of me did. I didn't expect her to be so involved in what was going on in that house. I also I knew that there was some bad blood, and if you check out my little short videos that I did about the cast of Euphoria, I haven't finished. I only did like 3 or 4 of the cast members, but um, I knew it was some bad blood. And we knew that there could be some fisticuffs, some people getting mad, and you know, I did not know it was going to go down the way this thing went down. Specifically, that as we brought in a new year, the cast of Euphoria within the show were also bringing in a new year. And I do have a question, and I hope somebody comes in who might be able to answer, and that is, what year is this supposed to be set in? Someplace I saw 2018, but I'm not 100% sure if that is the year that we were supposed to be ringing in with the cast. Then they had this big ass elaborate party at this big ass elaborate house, And I'm wondering, like, this is the part where things start to get a little far-fetched for me, because who has a house that big that you're gonna just let be overrun with teenagers celebrating New Year's with alcohol, with drugs, with everything? Who has that house and then they're not even there to supervise it? Because I didn't see not one uh parent figure. The grown-ups that were there because uh they were hanging out with the kids. So I want to know whose house this was. I'm a more concerned about who freaking house this was than I am about what was going on in the house. I'm like, this is a big old beautiful home. No parents. Where are the parents? Because it was a lot of alcohol. It was a lot of drugs. It was a lot of sex. How does this happen? Who lets this happen to teenagers? I want to know. So Buzz is, oh God. These people starting already with their little stupid comments or whatever that was. I'm so sick of them. This was a good episode. I'm still trying to give it a couple more minutes to see if anybody else is going to join me, because I don't even think, like, you're not even watching it, are you, Lysandra? So if you ain't watching it, then you don't even know what the heck I'm gonna be talking about. I wish you would just get the maybe even get mine. Get my HBO Max password and stuff, so that if you want to watch it, you can watch it. I think I must just send you my login and my password. I don't know what it is, so I have to look it up. I'm gonna send you that shit for HBO Max so you can get into HBO Max. Of course, they might kick you out because they're gonna realize that we not in the same house. It is really good. I think you will really, really like this series. It's probably, as far as like, it's not a fantasy, it's not a sci-fi, it's none of that. So as far as just a regular dramatic series, it's probably one of the best that I've seen in the last few years. This is a really good series. It's very well done. And I guess I could talk about A24. Lysandra, it's only one full season. That full season is 8 episodes and then 2 bonus episodes. So 10 episodes altogether for the first season. That season came out way back in 2019, and then we had to wait. I didn't watch it as it was coming out. You know that, though. But people who watched the first season and have been waiting for the second season, they've been waiting since 2019. So here we are, 2022, finally getting the second season. And this is only the first episode. So you're not far behind. And it is an easy binge. It's an easy binge for like maybe 8 to 10 hours of content. And then the new episodes come on Sundays. So it's something I promise you I would have never thought to watch if Quinn hadn't put me on it. But it's really good. And there's an entertainment company called A24. A24 is a studio, and they have been known for making yeah, Lysandra, I watched the first season. I watched the first season in a matter of hours because that's how good the show was. I couldn't stop watching. I had to make myself stop watching and then pick it back up. I think I watched the first 6 episodes like back to back to back, and then I stopped. I just had to stop myself. And the next day, I think I watched two more, and then the next day I watched the last two. So I watched the 10 episodes over 3 days. It's not on any other streaming service. You only gonna get this on HBO Max. Um, so it's only on HBO Max. It's a Max original, and it drops one episode a week. So we got the first episode on Sunday, and then we're moving into the second episode. Will be next Sunday. It don't come out until uh, 8 o'clock Central Time, so 9 o'clock Eastern, and you just calibrate it for wherever else you might be in the world. I know that we are in the Central time zone, so we can get it at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. I was kind of confused by that because I was like, why they ain't putting it out at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning like everybody else? But Clarence got me together and was saying that that's the way they do it because they're also dropping it on regular HBO as well. So you don't have the option to just watch it willy nilly. They got to drop it at a certain time on HBO Max. So then they drop it on on HBO. They got to drop it at a certain time. On HBO Max, it's there for your consumption at any time. But yeah, I was taking a look at A24, and this is a company again, a movie company that I had heard of before, and then I've seen some movies, and there are movies that I want to see because it was a movie about Michelle Yeoh, that has Michelle Yeoh in it, that I was talking about. Uh, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, I think was the name of the show or the movie that's coming out in a couple of months. And I was like, man, that looks dope. Look like a really good movie. Oh, your daddy got regular HBO. So if he got regular HBO, you might be able to watch it on regular HBO at 9 o'clock on Sunday night. If you log into that HBO account. Because yeah, you can definitely see it. Well, A24 has these kind of almost eclectic type of A24 comes out with these kind of weird movies, and they are behind Euphoria. So it makes sense because this is so weird. It's so flipping weird. It is very it's eye-opening to what these are not real kids. These are young adults playing teenagers in a show. But just the fact that this is something that teenagers could get into, very eye-opening ish. Things do get very graphic at times. It is definitely not for the faint of heart. In fact, let me see Zendaya. Let me see. Here we are. Nope, that ain't it. Dang, I can't even find the one that the tweet that I was looking for. The Zendaya sent out. Let me see. Get on Twitter proper. Zendaya sent out a tweet prior to the season 1 episode dropping, and mm, she was basically giving people a trigger warning about the show, and basically saying this is not a kid show. It's about teenagers, but it is not for children. So, and because a lot of people look at her like she came from Disney. She's got that wholesome background. This ain't that, and that ain't this. Now, I do notice that with Zendaya, there's a lot of nudity in very sexual situations in Euphoria. But I noticed that we don't see her get naked. I think it's got to be a clause in her contract that says that there will be no nudity for Zendaya. But all the rest of it, she gets into. Like, she is about that life. She plays a drug addict who she plays a drug addict, a young drug addict at that. And she yeah, she can't obviously she can't stop. She's an addict. She could stop, but she's not gonna stop. But here's the tweet that I wanted to share that Zendaya put out prior to that episode dropping. She said, "I know I've said this before, but I do want to reiterate to everyone that Euphoria is for mature audiences. This season, maybe even more so than the last, is deeply emotional and deals with subject matter that can be triggering and difficult to watch. Please only watch it if you feel comfortable. Take care of yourself and know that either way you are still loved and I can still feel your support. All my love, Daya." So Zendaya is telling you, don't get in over your head with this series. The series is covering a lot of rough topics, but oh, yeah, it's covering a lot of rough topics. It is not going to be for everybody. So if you are particularly triggered by violence, by sex, by aggressive language, by if you are easily triggered by any of those things, assault, any of those things, then you might not want to watch Euphoria. But with that being said, Euphoria is outside of in spite of the violence and the cursing and the drug use and the all of that, sex and all of that, outside of that, or in spite of that, this is still one of the best shows I've seen in at least the last 5 years. That I can say, I can't say it's the best, but it is among the top 5 shows that I have seen over the last 5 to 10 years. That's how good this show is. That's how well done the cinematography is. That's how good the acting. We get to see a side of Zendaya that I didn't even know that she had access to. The girl really can act. She's really a better actress than I gave her credit for coming into this series. I always thought it was because of uh, that she could act, but that she had I guess a target emotion that she's trying to evoke from people. And I always thought that she starred in happy little shows. This is not a happy show. It is a lot going on, and it's very little happiness. Very little. So really a good show. Let me see. There we are. Yeah, I ain't got not one doggone person who watched this show. Okay, we're gonna get into this anyway. We open season 2 with Rue the first sentence that was said was that Fez's grandmother is a motherfucking G. And now, last season we saw Fez, who is Rue's. That's her drug dealer, but it's also her friend. He's a friend as of hers as well. We saw his grandmother in a bed, and we never saw her getting up. We saw that she was being taken care of by Fez. So there was also Fez's little brother. We never knew his real name. We only knew him as Ashtray. So we got Ashtray, we got Fez, and he's taking care of his grandmother in the home. But we also know that he's a pretty big time drug dealer. He's a supplier for pretty much all the kids that do some type of drug at that high school. And I believe the name of the school is East Highland High. Okay, so the question never entered my mind. I wonder how his grandmother got like that. I wonder why she's in such bad shape, why he has to care for her. But we find out in this episode, the episode called Trying to Get to Heaven Before They Close the Door. And that line, trying to get to heaven before they close the door, came from a song. I think it was was it John Denver? Who the heck was the name of who was the artist? Could have been John Denver, but I could be wrong. Let me see. Bob Dylan. It's a Bob Dylan song, Trying to Get to Heaven Before They Close the Door. So that's where the title comes from. It opens to us seeing a younger version of Fez's grandmother. She is aggressively walking into this strip club. She's walking through, and you can tell that as she's walking through the club, everybody is nervous. Like, oh, she here, you know. She takes her ass straight to the back room where, of course, the boss would be, but she got to walk through the entire club before she get there. She walks to the back room where the boss would be, sees him, pulls out a gun, shoots this dude in both of his knees, and walks right the F back out. She goes back out to the car, and this is where we see a young Fez. She holds his face in her hands, and she was like, I just had a conversation with your daddy. You're going to be coming to live with grandma now. We could see that he had a black eye, like somebody hit him in his eye, like they meant it. So I guess we were to infer that he was being abused by his father, and grandmother went to save him. And not only did she save him, she gave his daddy something to think about because she put 2 in his kneecaps. So, okay. Then we find out that Fez's grandmother is not just a gangster when it comes to her grandbaby. She's a gangster, period, because she is moving drugs. She had the drug empire, and she was moving weight. And we saw another scene where a drug dealer that her supplier had kind of, I guess he kind of ganked her. He ganked her. He said he was selling her freaking cocaine. She gets home and it's crushed up aspirin, which kind of like Angus, you say that's mean. The kneecaps, yes. I don't know. She might have just shot him in the thigh. Either way, there were other things that she could have shot for, because what I left out about that scene is that when she busted in that back room where the boss is, and I don't know if you're watching it, Angus, when she busted in that back room where the boss is, he was getting fellatio in that very moment. So she could have shot him, where it really would hurt. I think she was being kind to shoot him in his thighs or his knees or whatever she shot. Are you watching Euphoria, Angus? But yeah, somebody sold this lady some some bare aspirin crushed up. And it kind of made me think it's funny that she didn't want these crushed up pills from her supplier. But when her grandson takes over her drug business, that's what these kids want is crushed up pills. Angus, you in very dangerous territory because I am spoiling the ish out of this show. I was kind of waiting to see if anybody else wanted to talk it through before Sunday, because this one is kind of rough. Um, it's kind of a rough show to talk about on Sundays. If that's what we want, I'm a just keep it on Sundays. But it is the subject matter is very heavy. It is funny going from Star Trek Prodigy to Book of Boba Fett and then hitting Euphoria at the same time because Lord have mercy. Okay. Okay, Angus. Say the spoilers are not gonna hurt you. Oh, No Way Home. You still haven't seen that one. Yeah, I'm gonna be real careful. I haven't been talking about it lately. Um, it's still doing things at the box office, but it hasn't done. I, I'm not gonna talk about it. The one thing I will say about Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it's not about that per se, is that there is far more rumors now that Sony is really seriously thinking about uh coming out with a high make a change. Sony is thinking of expanding further its Spider-Verse, and I won't say anything more about that. Um so yeah, we know now, okay, she got ganked by another drug dealer. So what she did is took her butt to this drug dealer with a crowbar, beat the living stew out of this man. But while she was wildly swinging his crowbar, Fez was running up to help her. We see that scar that Fez has on his face comes from being struck with that crowbar. So now I'm like, and they said, she never apologized, but you could tell she felt bad about what she had done to this child. We also see where Ashtray came from because his grandmother, Fez's grandmother, was such a big drug dealer. Somebody left a kid with her as collateral. So I'm coming back with the money because, and I'm gonna leave my kid as collateral. So whoever mother took the drugs and never came back for this kid. So Fez's grandmother has been raising this child as her own grandchild or child uh, ever since that mother abandoned him. So now Fair's got a little brother, and he looks at Ashtray like a little brother. They called the little boy Ashtray because he was eating cigarette butts. So she said, "What are you, an ashtray?" So funny, laugh, laugh, ha ha. That became his name because they didn't even know this boy. They didn't even know his name. It's just a fucked up situation, don't you think? Um, so she one day, as she was caring for her two grandsons now, she wasn't feeling well and she collapsed. Fez took her to the hospital instead of calling 911. He couldn't call 911 though, because couldn't call 911 because if they would have came to the house, it's drug paraphernalia all over the place. They drug dealers, and who gonna take care of these two kids if we take the grandmother? That's inviting a whole lot of problems. Fez knew that at a very young age, so he drove his grandmother to the hospital, and he couldn't have been more than 12 or 13 years old. The problem is, it looks like she had a stroke or something of that nature because Every minute, every second would have counted. He should have called 911. He might have been better off dragging her outside and calling 911 because she now is like in a vegetative state. His grandmother is, and he's been caring for her ever since, and he's been running the drug empire ever since. That to me is incredible. But then we see that he had a mind and an aptitude of learning this stuff because his grandmother taught him. His grandmother didn't treat him like he just another little kid. She treated him like a business partner. So he knows everything that's going on in the business, all the inner workings of being a drug dealer. He's been taught this from a young age, as has Ashtray. We find out that Ashtray is probably, hey D, how are you? We find out that Ashtray is probably just as big a G as his grandmother is, because Ashtray shocked the shit out of me when he well, I'm getting into present day. So now we're in present day, and we're where we left Fez last season. At the end of last season, we see him standing in the living room still with Mouse. Remember, Mouse is the big drug supplier. So Mouse is like kind of vague, like a veiled threatening to Fez. In the meantime, Ashtray hiding. I guess he's supposed to be out of sight every time Mouse comes around. So it's Mouse and his henchman, his little buddy. Man, he's standing there, and it's kind of like he's threatening Fez. After Fez just had to work this doctor over to get this money, you still talking mad shit. So Fez is standing there, and it looks like he's trying to keep the peace. Just keep everything kosher. Just let this drug dealer leave the house, and we'll deal with him another day. Ashtray was not having it. Ashtray done picked his hammer up, and he done put the hammer down. And when he put the hammer down, it was on Mouse's head and his boy's nose. He lucky he didn't get killed, the second man, because it looks like Ashtray, little bitty kid he is, 12 or 13 years old. It looks like he hit Mouse with so much force that he killed him instantly. The other guy, I guess he maybe didn't swing as hard because all he did was just busted his nose up. But now they got a problem. Number one, they got a dead drug dealer in their house. Number two, you got his boy. You need to get him on board on your team real quick because he can fuck things up for you too. He go to the wrong person, and now y'all got more heat coming to your house. So fortunately for the other guy, they didn't kill him, but they had to go and get a new supplier. The new supplier that they got turned out to be a lady, and her name is Lori. But before we get into Lori and them going to the new house, you guys, anything that you want to add to what I'm saying, you can add it in the chat. Feel free to comment because this is everybody's home, okay? And I read the comments, out loud for everybody. So, unless you out here talking stupid. If you're talking stupid, I'm not. As long as we keeping shit on topic, or then I put your comments up as well. So feel at home. If I leave anything out, I don't mind you telling me. So we're gonna stop and move to present day at this point. Now at present day, we see Rue in the car with Fez and oh my, Angus, that's wild. Angus said, in a frightening way, half of this sounds like his childhood, and that's wild because honestly, I'm still trying to like wrap my mind around some of the stuff that I saw. And just that opening was so wild to think that was the norm. Because as I was talking to Davina earlier about this episode, and I'm like, this lady, um, so this lady, I think her name is Marie, Fez's grandmother. I think her name is Marie. She, she's a drug dealer. She deals in an illegal business, but she loves those kids in a fucked up way. She loves those children. She doesn't abandon them. She could have left Fez at the hands of his father to be abused forever, and she could have taken Ashtray and dropped him off on the church step or something and be like, I'm washing my hands of him too. She took care of those kids. Of course, in the meantime, they learned the drug business from her, but it was survival, and they have survived, even though she has been out of the picture as far as taking care of them. She's been out of the picture, so we can see she taught them well enough for them to survive on their own without her help. But it was a hell of an upbringing, because this is all you know, so it's nothing wrong with it. If all you know is seeing crackheads and heroin addicts and all of this, if you see that all day, there's nothing wrong with that to you. And if that was her life, she couldn't hide it from them. So I don't want to judge the mama or the grandmother, but I do think that a lot of what we saw happening with Fez and Ashtray is simply because his the lessons that they learned from their grandmother. Ashtray did not hesitate to kill Mouse, and he tried to kill the other guy, and that's because of the lessons that he learned from his grandmother. And it's like Ashtray picked the lessons up, Fez didn't really. Ambria Ashley says she was definitely a mama bear. I like seeing that. I did too, because she wasn't playing. She wasn't playing about nothing. So even especially them kids. So she wasn't playing about the kids, but you wasn't about to fuck her over, period. And that's what I really did. Uh, in the era that was supposed to be set in, women were not particularly looked at as that kind of strength. Like, she went and she didn't get somebody to handle business for her. She went and handled business herself. You got that? I mean, that's a G. She's a G. So Granny was a G, and Ashtray like picked it up from the very beginning. I guess he was still impressionable enough in his life when he came into their life that he was like, this is the way of life. You can't second guess none of these people. Whereas Fez was a little older. He may have been exposed to something different growing up. Yeah. So okay, you agree. I don't know what part you agree with, Ambria, but you with me. So yeah, so Fez might have been exposed to something different. That's why he hesitates. Uh, no hesitation in Mouse. Now we got to get rid of a body. But like I said, we coming back to present day. We got Rue in the backseat of the car with Fez and Ashtray, and she is just flowing. Now, there's a question I got. Like, okay, the 90s era hip hop, we got an awful lot of that in this episode. And I'm like, do the house parties and shit that the young kids have now, are they playing music from my era, the stuff that I used to get down to? Because that was weird to me. Like, I'm hearing music that I used to listen to, doing the same thing. Well, I wasn't doing the same thing that Rue was doing, but doing just like Rue. I'm riding in the back seat. My homies are driving. We flowing Tupac. We listening to Biggie at the party and all of this stuff. This is what they was listening to when they on their way to do a for real drug deal. Oh, they are make a change. Well, shoot, I might need to go shake a tail feather at one of these kids' parties. But yeah, it was. It was. I guess I felt welcomed in this space because they're like, okay, you playing music that I can vibe to, and it makes me look at, like, we did a good job of my generation saying, okay, our kids are gonna listen to some of the stuff. You're gonna know some good music coming through the years. So kids will learn their music from their mama and daddies all the time, grandmothers too. So yeah, they go to do this drug deal. Now, first of all, anybody who knows any drug dealers are doing anything illegal, Angus, I know, honey. My tail feather is just getting better from last week, so I ain't gonna shake it too hard. But yeah, um, now what was I saying? Oh, one thing that you know when you're doing illegal behavior, you do not bring anybody extra with you. But here we got Fez and Ashtray pulling up to the Connect's house with a doggone extra, and she's an addict. You got an extra person and an addict. Then you pull up to this alley, and oh boy, you got him, and he got his girl with him. You know that's not that's against the rules. Those are violations where I'm from. Davina said, "No more dropping it like it's hot for you, ma'am." Nope, nope, it's over for me. It's over for me. Oh yeah, you cracking up, make a change. If you'd have been here just 1 week ago, you would know what they was talking about. I'm not gonna bring up old stuff that was in the past, Hakuna Matata. But uh uh yeah, he got his girl at the Connect's house, and then he Fez that brought Rue, and she's an addict. You definitely don't bring an addict to your drug Connect's house. They're not supposed to know where they live, because you know what an addict will do when things get desperate. They're gonna bring heat to your house. They're gonna come to your house and knock on your doors or break in. So it's a lot of things that could potentially go wrong for a drug dealer. If you bring two drug users to their house. But okay, we're here now. They left the girls in the car. They go up to talk to Lori, and we find out Lori is the new Connect, and Lori is uh, a former teacher. Yeah, Ambria Ashley say, yeah, it was a violation. You guys are wrong. You are wrong. You cannot be bringing you can't be bringing hypes, because that's what we would call them in the day. I wouldn't call nobody that now, but you don't bring hypes to the Connect's house. You can't do that. So it was a violation. So they go up here. We learn that this teacher is now a drug dealer. She's probably supplying the whole old high school she used to work at. So she's supplying these drugs to Fez to sell to the kids. They like, well, where's Mouse? First and foremost. Secondly, they just snatched these girls up out this car and brought them up, and they like, okay, ain't no conversation. You don't come in here and ask to speak to Lori. I don't even know you. So I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna cut this music on to kind of mask what I might be about to say, so that if you do got on a wire, it ain't gonna pick it up. I need you to strip. Everybody take your clothes off. And this is something I was saying to Lysandra before everybody else got here. And that is, everybody stripped except for Zendaya. Now, except for Rue. And we know Rue is played by Zendaya. And I believe that she has to have a no nudity clause in her contract, because we done seen dang near everybody else naked. But Zendaya's clothes have not come off. Let me know in the chat if you have noticed that as well. Not saying that I'm like looking for Zendaya to get naked. I'm just saying, everybody else, we just seen dang near everybody else in a full nudity, except for her. And I believe she got that clause in her contract. Angus says, teaching in the public school system would turn me to drugs too. But see, she's just smart enough, Lori, the teacher. She's just smart enough to say, okay, I've turned to drugs, but I ain't using them. I'm selling them. So she's just smart enough. She got just enough education to know I better not try it. So she's now the supplier. uh Make a change said, it's crazy. I know. And then Angus follows up with Zendaya is in this. Damn. Okay. Go to watch the first episode tonight. Yes. And what I like about Zendaya in this, Angus, is that she gets to really act. Like, and I was saying this earlier, there are a lot of her roles where she just walks around and she's cute. And yeah, we know that side of Zendaya, but to see her be able to stretch her acting muscle, because uh Angus, Zendaya is playing the character Rue, and Rue is a teenage drug addict. She got hooked on drugs by taking her father's pain medication when he was at the end of his battle with cancer. So she was left with him quite a bit. This is also shining a light on that, where mama had to go work 2, 3 jobs to be able to afford the treatments for the father, who was, of course, he was dying of cancer. So the mother is off at work. Zendaya is at home taking care of her dad day to day, and that medication is just sitting there. So it's not like she went into this saying, I want to take his medicine because I want to get high. She just tried it, and trying it made her go from just being uh casual with the use of it to becoming addicted. So yeah, she gets to stretch her acting muscles in this series. So I really do like her in this. But we did notice Zendaya did not take no clothes off, nothing on the camera. So okay, that's fine. I mean, she got that clause in her contract for a reason. um, we move back into the room with Lori, because now Lori realizes nobody is wired up. Everybody is standing there naked except for Rue. And um, she's like, okay, we got to talk business. Where's Mouse? Fez said he had to do away with him because he didn't like the way he did business. And now those two are doing business with one another. And we also saw Fez introduce his brother Ashtray the same way his grandmother had once introduced him. That is not just a kid, that is my business partner. So Ashtray is just as equally involved in this business as Fez is. But I also talked about, hey, it's New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve where we're at. And one thing we know about the kids from East Highland High is they love to have a party. They're going to have a party. So again, I'm asking, I don't know whose house this is. This is a gigantic, beautiful house. How you going to let all these kids be here? How are, it was like damn near the whole school showed up for this party. Plus some people who had been out of school for years, and they, of course, those are the, come to the party just to see what they could get into there as well. Not only that, it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's sex, it's so much going on, but it ain't no parents. I never saw no grown up. So okay, I don't know how realistic that is. I might just be old school. Y'all let me know if am I like am I that out of touch? Does anybody have a party like that without any parents being around? But anywho, I'm glad they wasn't, because then we wouldn't have had this episode, because they got into some shit these kids did. Let me tell you. Because okay, I want to talk about Nate for just a second. And Sneaker French Fry. Is Nate getting on anybody else's nerves? Like the first season, Nate was just grating on my last nerve the entire season. So Make a Change said, I don't know. Some teams are able to organize. Organizing is one thing. But like, you mean to tell me you going wherever on New Year's Eve, and you're leaving your teenager with this big ass house, and you don't think it's going to be one of these big stupid parties? Because what happens at the end of the episode could come back to the parents. But that's in real life, and this is Euphoria, so I'm gonna stay I'm gonna stay in make believe land. Um, they're at the party. Oh, I was talking about Nate. I can't stand Nate. If there's ever a kid that I wanted to punch in the face repeatedly, it's Nate. Okay, so Nate continues to show what kind of asshole he is. Now, one of the questions that I had coming into this season was, okay, how deep is the beef gonna go between Fez and Nate? I'm like, how deep is it gonna go? Are they gonna actually have to come to blows? I had no clue that this early in the season we was gonna find out the answer to that question, but we do find out the answer a little bit later on in the episode. Um, Nate, I don't know, because could he have planned to have met uh Cassie outside of that store? No. It was kind of like he just happened to drive up and she just happened to be sitting there drunk. Okay, but we know that Cassie uh, recently had an abortion from her boyfriend McKay's child, and her and McKay broke up. So McKay is off at college. Cassie is finishing up high school. You got Nate, who is going with her Cassie's best friend, Maddie. So they just recently broke up. And but this ain't nothing new for them. They break up, they get back together, and in the process, they will use other people to make one another jealous. But they usually can just toss those people aside when they decide they're gonna get back together, too. So it's never been anybody really close to them that they have done this kind of thing with. It's somebody that they could toss aside and they don't have to see them anymore. We saw Maddie do that with the young man Tyler in the first season, and now we're seeing the exact same thing happen. We've seen the exact same thing happen uh, again with Nate, but this time it's not somebody that you could toss aside and forget about. This time we have a person who was friends with your girlfriend, like not just friends, like best friends. He saw a situation and he took advantage of it. That's to me. Now, of course, we got to get Cassie to the point where she has enough confidence to tell somebody no when she doesn't want to do something. That's a problem with Cassie, but nobody made her get in the truck with Nate. And knowing that he's an asshole, Nate is taking her to the party. Say, you can ride with me to the party. He's taking her to the party, and he is driving so recklessly. They're drinking beers while he's driving, and he is driving so recklessly at very high speeds. I honestly thought that he was going to slam on the brakes, uh, and that she would get hurt, and that would be, oh well for him. But he didn't do that. What he did was it wasn't worse, but God, it was probably just as bad. Is he took advantage of the fact that this girl was really drunk, because obviously he had just started drinking. She had been drinking what it looks like for hours. So they go into a bathroom at this party, and they getting it in until Maddie knocks on the door. And I'm like, okay, Maddie knocks on the door. She wants to know who was in the bathroom, how long they're gonna be, or whatever. And when she heard it was his voice, now she's trying to clown him. She don't realize that he is going to Pound Town on her best friend on the other side of this door. And it was at this point I'm like looking at Cassie's face. It was like she was so vacant. She wasn't even there until she heard Maddie's voice. And that's when she's like, she's my best friend. And he's telling her, why are you crying? You haven't even been caught yet. Because that's the way you operate, Nate. You don't worry about the consequences until you've been caught. This little girl, I don't even think she wanted to be there. But okay, she's got a problem saying no to people. Now he got this notch in his belt, and he walks up out the bathroom, and he walks out alone. Now that's when Maddie comes in the bathroom. She got this guy trying to holler at her outside the bathroom door, guy named Travis. So she used the bathroom, wasn't no tissue. She wiped herself with a towel, threw that in the shower. And of course, that's where Cassie was hiding, in the shower. So she's got to be quiet because she's waiting Maddie out. She's waiting her out. She got to be quiet. So she's like, okay, as long as I can be quiet until this bitch leaves the bathroom and get this towel out my face, then I should be okay. But no, now this dude, the Travis, remember Travis outside the bathroom door? He comes in the bathroom, asks Maddie if she wants to smoke with him. So she didn't smoke with him, but she gave him an awful lot of conversation in that bathroom. And in that bathroom, we learned the difference between Maddie and Cassie. Maddie is not afraid to tell you no. She's not afraid to do what she got to do to get what she want from you. But she sure ain't afraid to say no. Because where Cassie got in that bathroom and couldn't say no, Maddie told that young man, I don't even want to kiss you because you're a square, all this stuff. So you can see the difference in these two girls' personalities. Maddie is the alpha female in their friendship. In the meantime, Cassie's staying in this bathtub, just sitting there waiting on them to leave about the bathroom. Oh boy, Travis sees her in the tub, but this is how callous Maddie is, or at least this is what I thought at first. I'm like, this is how callous she is. He tells her it's a girl passed out in the bathtub, and Maddie says, so? Or who cares? Or something to that effect, and then they leave the bathroom. And I'm saying that at first I was thinking she just don't give a fuck about nobody but herself, blah, blah, blah. But then I thought about it. She knows she never saw anybody anybody else come out that bathroom except for Nate. She never saw nobody else go into the bathroom except for Nate. So whoever is in that tub is who Nate was in this bathroom with. Now, I would have been curious and I think I would have looked, but she has enough confidence where she didn't even look to see who was in that tub. She just went back out to the floor at the party and said, I'm going to use this opportunity with this guy to make Nate jealous. So she didn't even look. If she would have looked, I think it would have went down way earlier than it did in this party. It would have gone down. Rue ain't at the party yet, though. I ain't got to that, or at least I haven't talked to her, because Rue, Fez, and Ashtray, they leaving the drug dealer's house, and Rue is so excited about meeting this female drug dealer, and she thought that the adrenaline of this situation was just in her. She was just pumped up. First of all, that this woman was this drug dealer, and then second of all, that they didn't walked away. They was this close to some bullshit, and they walked away from it. So but they don't, they tired of her mouth. They don't even want to hear her talking anymore. But then they go into the party. So they get to the party, everybody go their separate ways. We see Fez kind of hook up with Lexi, not hook up, but they sitting on the couch and they're conversing with one another. And I didn't see that coming. And if you saw it coming, kudos to you, because I did not see that coming. Then we have Ashtray. I guess he was just out there, wherever other kids, younger folks were, he was there. It wasn't no kids, wasn't no little kids like him. And Rue made the rounds. She saw Jules. She avoided her. And but before we even get to that, Rue use that heroin. And I'm like, I know that she's an addict and she just wants to see what the hubbub is about freaking using, these kinds of different street drugs. But so thus far, all we saw her doing was some pills, even though that's a serious addiction. It was pills and it was weed. Okay. And weed, I don't even count, but the pills, okay. You start fucking around with heroin, your life, you about to turn your entire life, your entire world over to this drug. So it appears that that's what she did. She used some heroin and then came into the party. So when she comes in the party, of course, she is avoiding Jules, but she makes her way to this laundry room where this young man, now what the hell was his name? If y'all remember his name before I could find it, let me know. Elliot. I found it. um, mm, you said there's an article that said that Ashtray is not faking his character. That young man was involved or had been around this type or this level of drug use and stuff. I'm gonna have to look that young man up. I didn't even get to him. Now, the other guy, Angus Cloud, the one who plays Fez, I noticed that the way he speaks, that Fez, the way Fez speaks and the way that this young man speaks are one and the same. They both have the same. The way he speaks is not an act, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at. I'm gonna have to look that up, make a change, or look more up on this actor because I didn't know. That's crazy. But yeah, so Fez hooks up with or starts to talk to Lexi, and you're starting to see that they're digging each other. They're liking each other. He's coming to her with pretty much street knowledge. She's hitting him with book knowledge because he was like, "How do you know all this stuff?" And she's like, "I know it because I read." So they will probably fill in one another's blanks. It's not a relationship that I think I can say I'm 100% behind, but I can see the attraction. I can see this. Like I said, she's very bookish, and he has all of the street knowledge that she doesn't, and they will complete one another. But it's a bad relationship to get into, uh, especially because we've not seen Lexi be in a relationship with anybody else. It's like if she were to fall for Fez, that he would really be her first love, and a dangerous love probably is not the best first love to have. Oh, that's what you're saying. He has a lot of street knowledge. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can see it. I can hear it. But does Lexi need that? I don't think Lexi need that. I don't think she needs that. Um, and Rue didn't need to find Elliot because Elliot seems to be just, I ain't gonna say he's an addict. And that's the type of person she doesn't need to be with is another addict. But on top of that, he is a less experienced addict than Rue is. So he's the knowledge that she has about what would counteract what. If you get into a bad situation with this drug, take that drug. You know, she has that knowledge because she's a far more experienced drug user. So her effect on him is going to be just as bad as his effect on her. And in the meantime, Jules is back in the picture. I don't know. I think Jules is making a mistake by reconnecting on an emotional level, not emotional, on a romantic level with Rue. Jules is making a mistake. And the reason why is because Jules is going to once again become somebody's everything. And or maybe she won't. Maybe now that this Elliot kid is in the picture, maybe she won't. But then now you will have to deal with an addict, and you didn't even want to deal with your mom and her addictions. So why would you then turn to start dealing with Rue and hers? It's a messy situation. I don't know if we're going to call it a love triangle, because I really am not sure that Rue is even capable of having a romantic attraction for a male. I don't know, I don't know what her sexuality really is. I know that she is not what people say 100% straight. She's not straight, and I don't know if she's 100% lesbian. She might be someplace in the middle on the spectrum, and so I'm gonna keep my eye on Elliot and Rue, because that looks like it could turn to from Elliot, Rue, and Jules into this love triangle, and that's gonna get messy. And then you throw addiction in the mix, the addiction is gonna win always. So that's another thing I'm just keeping my eye on, and I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. But we got so we did that. Then we saw McKay make it to the party. So now McKay is at the party. Hey, he runs into who? His homeboy Nate. Now his homeboy Nate knows that he just banged his friend's recent ex-girlfriend, first and foremost, and his ex-girlfriend's best friend. He knows this. He's the only person right now in the room that knows this. This fool comes to McKay and was like, are you and Cassie still together? And McKay is like, no. What were you guys doing in the room? We went in there and talked. And then he started asking him, well, did you F her? Did you fuck her? Where'd you come? Where'd you do this? Where'd you do that? And I'm like, what kind of sociopath does that? Who does that? Because it started to make me think that he attracted to McKay also. I don't know if that is where they're going or what is bringing my thought process to that. I don't know. But I'm like, why does he want to know that? Why would you even ask that boy that? Excuse me. And, why are you flaunting the secret around these people, around him? Because you know what you just did, but he doesn't. Tell me you didn't miss those titties. What? Who does that? Who says that to their friends? So, McKay seems to be a very patient person. Number one, especially after what we saw happen to him in last season, he is still he's still trying to be with Cassie. It seems like he does really love this girl. And he's also trying to do everything that he can to navigate being around Nate and what Nate thinks with how he feels about Cassie. So there's those two things. But then at the same time, he showed the patience after the abortion. He didn't just leave this girl alone. He still wants to be with her. He still cares about her. He still loves her. She is doing the right thing by him by saying, I'm not a good person. Only thing he could think of is, oh, she cheated. She cheated. But she is really trying to save him from her. She feels like McKay is too good for her because she knows the things that she will do, and she doesn't know why she's doing it. I honestly believe that she's only doing it to please others. She is not getting much pleasure out of these situations herself. So there's that. Fez and Lexi, they wrap it up on the couch. They decide that, he's got to go. And it was like a couple minutes before midnight. He might have got him some New Year's sugar if he would have waited a little bit. Because it was just a few minutes before the end of this party. He gets up, takes his sweater off, and then you start to notice that the way the cinematography happened, it was like we got to see each of the mains, and they would just like shine the light on them, and then the light goes down, and it's almost like you see them taking. It's like they're taking a picture, and this is a living picture of them. We're moving into it's damn near New Year's. Um, they're about to say Happy New Year's to each other and all this foolishness. Fez gets up, goes over to Nate, and just holding a basic conversation with him while he's pouring himself a drink. And man, I think in that moment, he had already thought while he was sitting on the couch, what would his grandmother do in this situation? And I think in that moment, he realized when he took the sweater off, he realized that this is what my grandma would do in this situation. And he beat the flu flops. He beat the flu flops off of Nate. And tears were in my eyes, and I was up just giving him a standing ovation. I ain't never wanted to see a kid get their ass whooped so bad in my life. I was so glad it happened. I was so glad that Fez was the one to do it. I was so glad that so many people was around. But then I started thinking, and now there are repercussions because he beat him pretty bad, but he didn't kill him. Oh, thank you, Make a Change. I appreciate that. Yeah, he beat him, but he didn't kill him. And when you have a person like Nate, you probably need to kill him. Unfortunately, I don't like saying that, but shoot, he probably needed to kill him because Nate is going to try to get back at him. He's going to try to get exact revenge. He's not. He won't take this laying down. He's gonna be laying down for a little while though. That beat down he took, face was all beat and bloodied, but um, everybody needed to see Nate be taken down. Now they probably gonna look at Fez all kinds of ways. They probably better watch their back forever and ever. But they needed to see Nate be taken down a notch because he's gotten away with quite a bit over from last season and now starting this season. He started this season the same kind of asshole that he was at the end of last season. So we got that going. Um, of course, Rue and Jules are back together, but again, I think the young man Elliot is going to play a major part in Rue's life moving forward. Then we got Lexi, who it looks like she's got a little bit of a feeling, a little bit of a vibe from Fez, and I think that even though she looked horrified at what he was doing when he beat up Nate, she's intrigued by him. I think that we're going to see more of them. I also think that because Fez didn't finish Nate, that we might lose Fez. I got a feeling that Nate is crazy enough to kill Fez, even if Fez wasn't crazy enough to kill Nate. But that also leads us to what's going to happen with Ashtray. That's questions for episodes that are coming forward because I got a feeling that we might have a situation where we have to think about that. Like what's going on? What's going to happen with Ashtray? What's going to happen when Nate finally gets out of the hospital or wherever he is? What's going to happen to Fez? He's already called the police and had his house raided, so we know he does little vindictive, manipulative type stuff like that. So what's next? And Rue, Jules, and Elliot, we got to figure that out. McKay, I wonder how he's coping mentally after what happened to him last season, and now what he feels like is a rejection from Cassie, who again, she's trying to protect his feelings. Now, Cassie and Maddie, I can't see them being friends after this. I can't see pretending like that to that level. Uh, who would be capable of every day looking in their friend's face, knowing that they slept with this guy, that she loves. Uh just exes, period. It's just some lines you just don't cross. And she crossed it. And here we are now. We got to deal with the repercussions of that. She's already in a bad mental spot. And now she's got this on her conscience. So how long can they really be friends after this thing happened? That's a question. And finally, like, how long will it be? Like, what's her name, Maddie? She saw this whole thing. She watched Nate get his ass kicked, and that hurt her heart. So that she probably gonna be up at the hospital first thing she can. So she's gonna get back together with this dude probably. And again, I hate him, but at the same time, how do we how would Cassie and McKay and everybody feel about her after that? Because it's going to come to a choice. People going to be like, he was being a real jerk, and she is going to run to his rescue because they're codependent upon each other, just like Rue and Jules. So yeah, it's just a lot of cans of worms got opened with just this one episode. I am looking forward to seeing what goes on next week. And let me go back up so I can see what the name of this episode for next week is. Out of Touch is next week's episode. And I'm trying to see if they got a synopsis before I so no synopsis. Oh yes, here we go. As the semester kicks off, Jules questions Rue and Elliot's new friendship. I knew that dude was going to show back up. I hadn't read the synopsis. So, let's see. While Cal hunts for answers, Nate makes a tough decision. So I'm wondering what his tough decision is going to be. And the lines between fantasy and reality begin to blur as Kat ponders her relationship and Maddie contemplates the decision to end hers. And I thought Maddie and Nate had already broken up. But Kat is pondering her relationship probably because what's her boyfriend's name? Ethan. He might find out that she does the camera work. She's a camera girl. So yeah, that's what we got next week. Besides that, and the questions that I kind of posed. If y'all got anything that you think that we should be keeping our eyes open for in next week or upcoming episodes of Euphoria, put it in the chat before we take off, because I like to have all the thoughts so I know what questions that I'm gonna be answering next week when we do this. But yeah, as far as the episode goes, I think we got Euphoria 2.0. We're in the second season. This episode didn't let us down. But it gave us what we were expecting for a first episode. I think it was a little bit more than I expected because of finding out about Fez's grandmother and how big of a freaking gangster she was. So she was a pleasant surprise to get that backstory at the beginning of season 2. And that's another thing that makes me feel like we're going to be saying goodbye to Fez soon, because they gave him the beginning. His story jumped this whole thing off. So we said hello to him. Are we going to have to say goodbye to him as well? And they say Nate's daddy is looking for answers, and he's the man in that town. So it won't be long before he gets answers. And then what happens? So Fez is in danger, y'all. Fez is in danger. His life or his liberty. Something is going to be taken. He going to either end up in prison or he going to end up dead. And I would almost say it would be better off for him to end up as the character to end up dead, because prison is not going to fit him. He's had too much freedom. His life has been too much on the cusp of just being independent his entire life. to have to ask questions and figure out when you gonna make moves and when can I go to the bathroom, to do all that. I don't think he would be able to live that life. Plus, he would have to worry about where his grandmother is. Plus, he had to worry about what's going on with Ashtray. I don't think he's built for the prison life like that. So that is one of my questions about Fez. The fact that we started with Fez kind of bothers me, and now we got Nate and Cal on they Jacob's bullshit. So who I didn't talk about? I talked about everybody, right? I think that's it. That's all. I have had fun. If you had fun, join me on Sundays. We recap other shows on Sundays, and I'm supposed to be doing this on Sundays, but I got a little excited. I was far too excited to wait until Sunday to talk about this. But Sundays at 3 Central, we do a show called Stream Something, and that is when we talk about some shows that we're streaming, and you give me suggestions on what to stream next and all that good stuff. So if that's in your bag, if you like that type of stuff, join me on Sundays. And also, I got other stuff we do. I've been a little off because of I had a back injury, slight one. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad. So now I'm getting back on my feet, and we're going to get back on track with our live streams, because we were doing 5 a week. I think we're gonna hold back to like 3 a week for a little while, but yeah, join me. Also, follow me on Twitter. You see my handle right there, or you can follow me on Facebook at the After the Snap Hangout group on Facebook. That's where you'll catch up with me most of the time, and I put information about shows and live streams there. So if you are watching that, Euphoria, Peacemaker, The Book of Boba Fett, Star Trek Prodigy, and there's another one that I'm supposed to be adding real soon. I can't remember what it is. If you're watching those things, join us on Sundays. With all that being said, it has been fun. It was nice meeting some new people in my chat today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. I will see everybody in the next broadcast. Peace.